Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to the second edition of the Global Growth Accelerator Founder and CXO event. It is truly a privilege to have such a distinguished gathering in the room today of founders, CEOs, and business leaders who are not just building companies, but shaping industries and driving the next phase of growth and innovation. The GGA CXO Summit was conceived as a platform for meaningful conversations where experience meets ambition, ideas turn into insights, and leaders learn from leaders. The overwhelming response to our first edition reaffirmed the need for a space like this, and we are delighted to build on that momentum with all of you here today. Before we begin the sessions, it's our tradition to start on an auspicious note. We will now proceed with the Deepa Prajwalan, symbolizing knowledge, clarity, and collective illumination of ideas. May I request our esteemed guests to kindly join us on stage for the Deepa Prajwalan. I request Narendra Kale sir to please come up on stage, Anand sir Deshmukh sir to kindly join us, and Madhav Dapke sir to kindly join us. Anand Shiralkar sir, may I request you to kindly come on stage.
Kuldeep, may I request you to come on stage? Mayuresh, can you come on stage?
Please join me in welcoming Mr. Anand Shiralkar for our welcome note today. Mr. Anand is a seasoned serial entrepreneur, investor, and founder from Pune. With over 2 decades of experience launching and scaling ventures, he has built multiple companies across technology, AI, and global business services and invested in numerous startups. Mr. Anand is the visionary behind the Global Growth Accelerator, a curated community and platform designed to bring together ambitious founders, strategists, and leaders to accelerate growth, collaboration, and global impact. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Anand Shiralkar.
Good morning, everyone. Before we begin, I want to ask you something. How many of your biggest breakthroughs came from conversation you did not plan? A random introduction at event, a coffee chat that turned into partnership, a casual mention that led to your biggest customer. We call it luck, but luck has a formula. So there is a concept in mathematics called surface area. The larger the surface, the more contact points you have with the outside world. Think about it in this way. A single grain of sugar dissolves slowly in the water. But if you crush that grain into the powder, it dissolves instantly. So same mass, but different surface area. So luck works in the similar way. The more surfaces you expose your work to, the more opportunities can land for you. The GGA exists to increase your surface area of luck. So, as we all know, currently we are in visibility problem. Imagine a lighthouse on a foggy night. The light is bright, technology works perfectly. But if the fog is thick enough, ships still crash into the rocks. Many of you have built lighthouses. Your product works, your team is strong, your execution is solid. But the world is covered with the fog, with the information overload, AI noise, 10,000 other startups shouting for attention. So being excellent is not enough anymore. We need to cut through the fog. So there are, two things that we want to cover in this summit, this event. One is moving from first orbit to second orbit. And we'll learn that from the discussion that we'll have with Anand Deshpande sir and Narendra Kale sir. And the second one is where we will taking our product or services from local to global in non-linear way by understanding different M&A strategies and other parts. So we will cover that in the afternoon. So as far as the orbits are concerned, the first orbit is of survival, where we find product market fit, first customers, proof that you can build something that works. And when we move to the second orbit, it forces harder questions. Can you scale without breaking? Can you enter into new markets? Can you stay relevant when AI is compressing time, competition, and margin? The second orbit is not just about working harder. It is upgrading your mental model, your systems, your team's mindset, and your access. I recently attended a very interesting and thought-provoking leadership session by Kiran Gulrajni. I think he's here. Please raise your hand. Okay, great. So it was very interesting, thought-provoking leadership session that I attended. And he asked us to draw a tree. Most of us drew trunk, branches, and leaves. Then he asked us one question. How many of you drew the roots? And almost nobody did. That made me think that we obsess over what is visible, which is revenue, growth, and metrics. But its strength comes from what is invisible. Roots are not just the knowledge or insights that we see in conferences or LinkedIn posts. The important part is mental models. They are the learnings from someone who has walked the path. And we are very fortunate to have Narendra Kale sir and Anand Deshpande sir and a lot of other eminent people who have walked the path. We also need to create deep relationships that compound into real business. Now, you must be wondering that why I'm doing this GGA? What's in it for me? And of course, right, like that's the right question to think about as well. And I'll be very honest with you about this, why I do this. I live in Pune. My children are growing up here. My companies, Rian, DG Future Tech, or FTB related companies operate here. My future is tied up to the success of this ecosystem. And again, on top of this, I have this Jajvalya Abhiman hai mala Punecha baddalcha, and that is also right, like the common thing, or the thing, right, like that is important. So what I really want to do is, this is not a charity. This is self-interest aligned with the community interest. That's what, right, like we want to form, right, like as a GGA. If the soil gets richer, every trees grow taller. So if we win, the ecosystem will win. So, and as we all know, right, like a rising tide lifts all the boats. So let's basically create that ecosystem over here. Now, I want to give you two tasks for you today. Let me keep this very simple. One is, do not just collect cards, business cards. There may be some noise. Before you leave today, find just two people, right? Like one person you can genuinely help. A problem you can solve, an introduction that you can make. And one person who can genuinely help you. Not someone to sell, but someone whose experience or network can move you forward. That's it. Only two people. Of course, you should meet a lot of other people, but just try to think, right, like how could you connect and how could you help others as well. If we do only this thing, right, like connecting with two people, we can create hundreds of real connections by evening. And what I've seen and what I've heard, right, like so far, that real partnerships do not just start with the pitch deck. They start with the trust. So finally, I have one request. At the end of the day, take 60 seconds to record a short video sharing your key takeaways What insights hit you? What connections did you make? What will you do differently? What will compile these? What we'll do, right? Like we'll compile these and share on LinkedIn. And I'll tell you the why. As we discussed, there is this visibility problem right now. And I'll tell you the last time, right? Like when we did this GGA summit, the event generated over 5 lakh impressions altogether on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is amazing platform. It has helping me quite a lot. I've been able to find out certain patterns that can help us. And keeping as much visibility on LinkedIn will give us a very good visibility. And when we amplify each other's signals, we cut through the fog together. So again, very important. So please take the learning notes, keep them aside, and let's ensure that we are also sharing some good message that will be used by other people as well. So let us not chase the luck. Let us increase our surface area by upgrading our thinking, widening our access, and building trust before transactions. Now let's get to the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Anand sir, for setting the context so well. With that, let's move forward. Please join me now in welcoming Mr. Zubin Dubash, who will introduce our speakers and lead the next part of the program. Zubin Jimmy Dubash is the founder of Yozua Consulting, a strategic growth partner specializing in media tech businesses. An alumnus of JBIMS, Zubin collaborates closely with founders, serving as an extended think tank to drive business growth, strategy, and innovation. Currently, he is on the strategic advisory board of Rian, an AI-cum-human localization startup founded by Anand Shiralkar. With over 2 decades of experience in both industry and startups, he has held key roles at the likes of Microsoft, Vodafone, Tata Docomo, Apps Daily, and Shimaru Entertainment. Throughout his career, he has led and built digital businesses to the tune of over $250 million. He's also the co-founder of Brand You Good, an AI-powered brand tech startup that offers brand communication services using AI at the core. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Zubin Dubash.
Thank you, Shreya, for that introduction, and thank you, Anand, for that very amazing, motivating initial welcome speech. I think it was really, really contextual, and it helped a lot. So today, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce a very, very special personality among us. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute privilege to introduce our keynote speaker for today. Respected Mr. Narendra Kale sir, he's a globally respected entrepreneur and institution builder, best known as the founder of Kale Logistics Solutions and for his leadership at the Bhau Institute of Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Leadership. Drawing from decades of building technology products for global markets, he is here to share his invaluable pearls of experience and wisdom through practical insights on building scalable, globally relevant products in the age of AI, shaped by real-world stories, anecdotes, and lessons. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming respected Mr. Narendra Kale on stage. Thank you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, Zubin. Thank you, Anand, for the wonderful introduction and introducing myself to me. I'm going to pick up a couple of points from Anand's leap, and that is trust and roots. I didn't plan to include it in my session, but I think both of them are very close to my heart. So on the fly, I will just change it to suit these two aspects of life, which are really close to my heart. I would like to take a quick snapshot of the audience. How many of you are single founder companies? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How many are, so I assume that others are multi-founders company. 2 plus. How many of you are 3 years young, 3 years or younger? Good. How many are 10 years plus? Wow. So we have a lot of experience and youth together. That's the ideal mix. How many are 1 crore plus? Sorry, 1 crore, just reaching 1 crore? And 10 crores plus? Okay. So I was told that majority of the group consists of founders and CEOs. So I will address most of the points towards this audience. I have divided my talk into past, present, and future as I envisage it. Obviously, past I reduced a little, kept little time, 7 minutes. Present, 8 minutes, and future hopefully for 15 minutes. So time starts now. This is my life snapshot. You would expect everything else except the 2 points. One is marriage and second is daughter. I would not talk about any other parts, but I will talk about these 2 points and why they are there. First, they make you human. Second, they keep you grounded. I think majority of you would have that experience. And thirdly, they give you a different perspective of life. As far as I am concerned, my wife was my first venture capitalist. She lent me 10,000 rupees, with which I started Kale Consultants. Of course, she was a wise venture capitalist because she got back multi-crores in return. So, and this support system at home is, how many of you are not married? Okay. It's important to know whom to marry. Okay. Because they can either make your life or break your life. Okay, it's so critical. So rest of the things are, I think, in everybody's life, they are the same. So I'll not dwell upon it. Now let me dwell into past for a few minutes. I'll just take 2 institutions with which I was associated with very closely, and I spent more than 25 years working alongside with them. The first was University of Pune. Am I audible everywhere? Okay. See, I was working, after did my master's in computer science from IIT Kanpur, I worked with, like any other individual, worked for TCS. Especially computer science, there was one company that everybody went, and I also went to TCS. So one fine day, I had a meeting with our director in charge, the legendary Dr. F.C. Kohli, and I asked him a question. Sir, why we are offering services and making others rich instead of building products and making ourselves rich? Those of you who have associated with Dr. Kohli, he had a typical style. He ran like a benevolent dictator, the company. And he said, no, Kale. Product companies will never be successful if they are built from India. That day I put in my papers, said, I'll build a company which product will become the world standard. I was arrogant, I was a brat, and I was an ambitious kid at that time. Luckily, what happened, same evening, I received a message from the Vice Chancellor of University of Pune saying that the Vice Chancellor wants to meet you. I used to come for the weekends anyway for the because I was working in Mumbai in TCS and he used to come for the weekends. So one of the weekends I met with him. He had an extraordinary charming personality. So the first sentence he said, Narendra, I want 2 years of your life. He had such a grandeur. I said, given. Then we talked about what was required, what is to be done, what was the salary, and all other parts. And I'm glad that I did. Because what he gave me were wings to fly. He told the staff his orders with the Vice Chancellor's orders. I was 24 years old. What we did was built an examination processing system where university was known for making so many mistakes at that time that its prestige was really at stake. I had 2 people to work with me who had never written their programs. But they were gems of people. They had the right attitude. So 3 of us put our heads and minds and brains together, worked 24 hours a day, made others work 24 hours a day. In 6 months' time, we had the entire computerization of the University of Pune, which I was told worked for 30 years since its inception. What lesson did I learn from it? The lesson was there is a stupid ambition that exists in youth, which never comes when you are mature. Youth doesn't know the fear of failure. And that's why I value every individual in the organization who is a young person, because you never know what barriers they can break. So value your youngest person in the organization the most, because they, and I'll come to the other parts as we proceed on this presentation. But to me, they are the most valuable assets in the company. Second thing I learned was the power of collaboration. I talked about working 24 hours a day. So there was these sections, right? BA, BCom, BSc, BE, where the examination results were processed. So one day just before Diwali, Mr. Joshi, I think Mr. Joshi was the head of the BA department. So he came to my cabin and he said, sir, I want to talk to you. So I said, he's going to crip. I made him work 24 hours a day and all his staff, and he's definitely going to crip. So I was ready. I said, Sangana. So he said, me he Marathit sangto because I think that's where it has the right impact, and then I'll translate it. ते म्हणाले, काळे साहेब, मी तुमचे आभार मानण्यासाठी आलोय. म्हटलं, जोशी साहेब, अहो मी तुम्हाला 24 तास काम करायला लावलं. माझे कसले आभार मानताय? मीच खरं म्हणजे तुमचे आभार मानायला पाहिजे. ते म्हणाले, तुम्हाला माहित नाही, गेली कित्येक वर्ष ही पहिली दिवाळी अशी आहे की जी आम्ही आमच्या मुलाबाळांसमोर घालवू. प्रत्येक दिवाळीला आम्ही इथे युनिव्हर्सिटीमध्ये काम करत होतो. युअर सिस्टीम मेड इट पॉसिबल. मला आयुष्यात बरेच ॲकोलेट्स मिळाले, बरेच recognitions मिळाली. This recognition I always value because this came from the heart. Let me translate it for people who don't understand Marathi. He said, this is the first Diwali that we are going to spend with our children and family, because last 10 years, we have been coming every day to university, even in Diwali time, for processing results. So I thought this was my biggest prize in my life ever. Second thing I learned was, then once this was successful, Dr. Takole gave me another assignment. He said, you're from industry, you know what the industry needs. So why don't you design a course, BSc Computer Science for us? So I said, sure. So I designed a course and gave it to him. So he said, now you teach it. So I started teaching it. And I'm glad that I did. Because the first day that we announced the course, more than 300 people applied. So there was a hunger for the course. But I said, I can teach only 30. He pushed and made me take 60 students for that particular course. At the end of the course, it was time for me to start my own consultancy, which I had told Dr. Thakole right in the beginning. So he made a special resolution and said that yes, you can start your own consultancy, but be associated with university with some form or shape. The first batch of BSc Computer Science, I said, this is my dog food, I must eat it first. So I took the first 3 students from that batch to join me. And I'm glad to share with you, one of them became the CEO and managing director of the company. Second became the executive director on their own merits. And third started his own company and became a global pioneer himself. So eating your own dog food is something, and that is power of possibilities. And if I had not started that BSc Computer Science course, another twist to the fate is BSc Computer Science then was adopted by UGC and MCA and became the powerhouse to change the face of India for the IT industry. Now let me quickly touch upon Kale Consultants and some of the mistakes that I learned, which I think from which you can take a couple of lessons or two. I started Kale Consultants with these 3 people and myself, right? My first year goal was to have a revenue of 2 lakhs. The first mistake, typical Maharashtrian Brahmin community person aiming low. So my suggestion to you, if you are a startup, dream your wildest dream, multiply by 10 and dream for that, and you'll be surprised you will be achieving it. My aim was 2 lakhs, we achieved more than 20 lakhs. Okay, so I think that's the first lesson that I learned. We always dream low. Number 2, I was a solo game. For 3 years, I did everything myself. I was the financier, I was the accountant, I was the master salesman, I was the chief designer, I was the programmer, I was the HR and everything, right? It's typical startup story. But the earliest you take a co-founder with, and it's a very lonely journey. Entrepreneurship is a very, very lonely journey. The earliest you pick up a co-founder who is brighter, smarter, and can question you, better it is for your organization. Not necessarily better for you, but definitely better for the organization. And I found one, a gold medalist from Ahmedabad, a Tata Administrative Services person. He was working for one of my clients. Actually, he was my client, so I hired my client. His name was Vipul Jain. We never looked back since we came together. So, second takeaway, get a good co-founder, smarter, brighter, and who can question you, and still you will have respect for each other. I had worries for my next payroll. For almost 18 months to 24 months, I never knew where the next payroll is going to come from. I always used to dip into my personal savings to make it happen. What I learned was young shoulders can carry heavy responsibilities. I was surprised how much efforts and brilliance is there in the young minds if you give them opportunities. Time and again they surprised me by showing a path which I had not dreamed, I had not thought about. They took a dream that I dreamed, make it bigger, better, and executed it faster than I ever did. So I think again, coming back to youth, it is a phenomenal power, tap into it. I came across naysayers right from Dr. Kohli all the way to my family members, except two people, nobody believed me that a product company can be built in India and can become global standard. Two people, my father and my wife. Others in typical Maharashtrian connotation again, ही काय अवदसा आठवलीये was a typical reaction for me. Okay, चांगला जॉब आहे का सोडतोयस? What was driving us? What was driving us was we wanted to build a product which India will be known for. Fast forward 25 years, we had a product which IATA declared as the global standard for airlines. More than 250 airlines across the globe use that product now. We had a record IPO and all that, 1,000 crore patis were generated. Another twist to the tail, we started spending lavishly. Not lavishly in the lavish sense, but we lost the control on the cash flow. And it was the first year after IPO. I'm just opening my heart and for everything for you because you know these pitfalls are there. And we made our first year loss. The lesson, it is other people's money. Respect it. So we immediately recouped, and the power of frugality has its own rewards. Another thing that I learned, we had 4 products that we have built, all of them world class. Hotels, hospital, banking, and airlines. Very soon we realized we didn't have the bandwidth to give justice to all 4 of them. So very painfully, we closed 3 lines of business, concentrated on airlines, and we took off. So I think focus is critical component of life. And going global is a different ballgame. Today we have, as I said, 250 plus airlines using our product, but that's history. Now let me come to present. Forget about the first 4 bullet points. I'll just concentrate on the challenges and what we learned from it and what we are learning from it. 3 years into our startup journey, our CEO and co-founder passed away. And he was leading the charge. So we had 3 more co-founders who came together, and I had a dilemma. Whom do I make the CEO? Company cannot be driven by a team of people. It has to be driven by a single person. So you have to make that choice. It's interesting how I made that choice. I talked to each 3 of them, told them, suppose me and you are on a plane flight and the plane crashes. Whom will you choose as the successor? So I'll get an honest answer because you have taken that person out of the equation. So by process asking the same question to all three of them, one person emerged as a leader. And so I made him the CEO. And I'm glad that I made because he had the acceptance that, and I said that apart from you, who will, second question I asked, apart from you, who you think and why? So it emerged that the person had the respect as well as aspirations of the entire team. So that issue was put to bed. Then COVID happened. So another near-death situation. We had cash flow problems. We had no money in the bank and our revenues were dwindling. Very soon we took very harsh decisions, made our revenues equal to whatever our outflows. And very soon we found that actually during COVID, our cargo movements were increasing because things were moving from one place to another. People were ordering more and everybody wanted to stock. So our business actually logarithmically took off, which was phenomenal. One thing that I find always very, very difficult in any organization is there are silos, and these silos are work beautifully well in their own areas of hemisphere. To align them is the most difficult process, and that's the job of the leader. How many of you know what is supermagnets all about? No? Okay. Supermagnets are something that are million times stronger than individual magnets. The difference, the individual small magnets are just aligned together. All their dipoles are aligned together. So they become so much powerful that it becomes supermagnet. A very small quantity of supermagnet is million times powerful than the magnets individually put together. So that's the beauty of. So alignment is that important, and that's the hardest job in every organization. You think you are done before you have to realign again. So I think to me, in one word, if I have to describe the job of a leader, it is alignment. Again, again, and again. The last point I will say, the AI journey that we undertook. I know this, you are expecting to hear from me more and more about AI, and I'm touching upon it now. Let me give you an example of what we did, where we went right, where we went wrong. Again, I'm opening all my books to you because I want you to take few takeaways from this. A, it is hard. B, there has to be a missionary for every mission you undertake. And C, it takes time. There is a doha of Kabir. Dhire dhire re mana, dhire sab kuch hoye. Mali siche sau ghada, rutu aane phal hoye. But I am an impatient person. I don't want for that rutu to come. I want rutu to come faster. So you have to. So I started about 2 years back, 2.5 years back, this AI journey. I started pushing people very hard. There were few converts, few naysayers, and few ignorers in the company. Typical journeys: fire starters, fire spreaders, fire preservers, and fire users. To come to fire users, it takes tremendous patience on the part of. So for 18 months, nothing happened. And then it logarithmically took place. Okay. So now there are significant movements in the company towards the AI journey, and I think we are on the right track. Still, not at the pace I would love to, but we are getting there. And last point, last takeaway I would have from the present is we tried to do too many things, just like in Kale Consultants, we tried to do too many things in Kale Logistics also. But the focus is the key thing. Try to do few things, but exceptionally well, and success will come knocking on your doorsteps. There was another thing that was close to my heart, and that is Bhau Institute of Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Leadership, that I, along with my two co-founders, Dr. Sahasrabuddhe and Sanjay Namdar, we founded. I'll not get into the history and all that. It's just an ecosystem partner for Pune, built for Pune, of Pune, and run in Pune. I think Mandar is there, who is our CEO. He will talk about it a lot. But I will just say few things. What we dreamt, where we are, and what it could be. One of the dilemma that we have not been able to solve even today is whether we are a mass institution or a class institution. In my mind, Anand has solved that dilemma. Through the Asra, he had told me on day one what the Asra is doing, and he has solved that dilemma. We have not been able to solve it. Am I right, Mandar? So some things we do for the classes, some things we do for the masses, and we are not excellent in any one of them. We could be there. We have all the ingredients that, and I think again I am saying all these things very openly to you, because take a couple of leaves and don't make those mistakes. I had a professor in Harvard, Dr. Porter, Michael Porter, who used to teach us strategy. And he used to say, don't tell me what you do. Tell me what you don't do. Then I'll know whether you have strategy or not. So similarly, don't make those mistakes. You will have strategy of your own. What we have done right at Bhau Institute is built an extremely good ecosystem. Right from the cow dung collector that we built for a farmer to a completely autonomous drone management system, we have built the entire ecosystem at Bhau Institute. And I would encourage all of you to visit Bhau Institute and see what we are doing. And I do meet founders, and I love to meet founders. And there is one thing I do for every founder. At the end of the meeting, after understanding their story, I either give them a contact, which is an investor, could be a customer, could be a co-founder, could be a technologist. That's it. That one single thing perhaps changes their journey a lot. And that's my only smallest contribution. ज्याला आपण मराठीत खारीचा वाटा म्हणतो. That's what I do for all those people. I think Mandar is going to talk about Bhau Institution. I'll move on. Now let me talk about future. I'll talk quickly about in the context of Kale Logistics, because these examples, and these are personal examples, which I think you will tune with. In the context of technology, in the context of mindset change, in preparing yourself and your company. And one thing that should not change, the purpose. How many of you have defined the purpose for your company? why you exist. So half of you are not. I would suggest go back home and make sure, ask yourself this question. Why does the company exist? And what are the values you live by? You'll thank me forever for doing this. Because technologies will change, people will change, but the purpose and the values in the organization you should never change. Okay, the future as I see for Kale Logistics, what is the purpose? The purpose is to make life easier for people sending goods from one place to another while doing good for the community. What is good for the community? Make it less polluted, consume less paper, digitize the whole process. So that's why we exist. In the process, we'll make money. That's another aspect. In the process, we'll grow. In the process, we'll be known for our products and offerings. So the aim and aspiration is every cargo in every airport and port will pass through our platform. What am I worried about? I'm paranoid about competition in AI age. Because it is not going to come from known sources. There may be somebody sitting in Slovenia, solopreneur, who will be building a product which will disrupt everything that we are doing and can knock us down. That's what I am paranoid about. Every day I wake up and sleep with this single, how do we keep ourselves relevant every day? And that's what my team is also working on 24/7. Because if you are not, you will vanish before you know. People talk about technologies. I think the 3 technologies that we are working on are blockchain, AI, and 5G, 6G. There is an excellent book by Subrato Bachi. It is known as The Elephant Catchers. Each and every one of you must buy this book today if you are scaling. To me, it's a Bible. I'll just take one thought there and expand it for you. He says that those people, when you start up the company, they chase rabbits, they catch them. The same people, the same team is not useful when you're trying to catch the elephants. You require different people. What kind of people do you need? So he has categorized into 4 categories. Number 1 is ninjas. He is the CEO's ideal number 2. Give them a job, they will do it perfection, in time, in budget, like a clockwork. Ninjas. Number 2, thought leaders. They will always think out of the blocks. They are the people you in front of the client, they will get instant respect. You will earn instant respect. They will be the solution developers. They will be the people who will work in isolation, but can move mountains by just their brain power, by their power of ideas and so on and so forth. Third is coaches who help people make sense in so many moving parts of the organization. They are the people, go to Sham, he knows. They will go to him to understand. He will coach them, he will guide them. He or she will be always available to them. to make sense in everything in the bigger picture of the things. And I think they play a very important role in the organization. And last but not the least, rainmakers. They are the people who open new market for you, who get the next $1 billion deal for you, and so on and so forth. And many times in the organization, their positions are around square box and round holes and square pegs into it. So you'll be surprised that you'll have all these four in your organization, but their roles are mixed up. And I'm still correcting that in Kale Logistics. Let me touch upon technology. One thing that I see, this is a bit of crystal glazing, is all the technologies that we are talking about now will be faster, hopefully cleaner, and more human-centric. They don't appear to be, for instance, AI consumes more power than a city requires, etc., etc. But over a period of time, this is where they should lead, and they would lead according to me. The technologies will not work in isolation, according to me. They have to work in tandem, 1, 2, or 3 together. The ones that come to my mind are AI, quantum computing, 6G, robotics, neurotech, sustainability, and human-computer interfaces. I'll just take a couple of examples. AI plus quantum can lead to faster drug delivery. If you know the drug delivery process, it's an extremely cruciating 10 years process. Now, if we can crunch it into, say, 10-month process, we'll be doing mankind a phenomenal boon. Now, this is a typical human problem, okay? There are thousands and thousands of careers and thousands of personality traits. I know one person right here in Pune who is trying to solve this problem. He's trying to map the 1,000 personality traits with thousands of personalities, job traits that are available, and trying to bring them together. He has to use quantum computing today along with artificial intelligence. So he's solving that problem today. So I think those of you who are interested, I think he will need help that can help him grow. But I'm sure I think he's trying to do something that will help humanity per se. Robotics plus neurotech can lead to two things. Number one, those who are Divyanga, their life can become much more easier. And number two, rehabilitation process after an accident or something like that can become much more easier. Lastly, I see AI, 6G, sustainability, quantum computing, all of it coming together with integrated sensors, AI-driven traffic lights, public transit apps, autonomous vehicles, predictive maintenance of roads, efficiency and safety, leading to smarter cities. And this we'll see in our lifetime. So this is my peep into future. This is nothing to do with technology. This has to do with mindset change. For the future, the mindset that we had for 19th century is not going to work. 20th century is also not going to work. 21st century is also shrinking. What used to happen in century is now happening in decade. So what are some of the pointers that I can perhaps look at myself in my limited abilities to look into future. First and foremost, all of us want to be growing locally and becoming global. When you build for global. Don't build for local ever. Always, you may sell in local, but build for global. It will take an extra time, but you will be glad that you did. There is a famous quote of Mahatma Gandhi which I changed a bit. Learn as if you are going to live forever. He used to say, live as if there is no tomorrow. I am saying execute as if there is no tomorrow. So the urgency has to be there. And I think I'll tell you an interesting story about the sense of urgency. AI is real. The issue about whether or not AI is a fad is over. It is settled, dusted, and done with. Embrace it. Competition is changing to co-optation. In certain deals, you will be working with your competitor and make miracles happen. Lifetime engagements is a thing of past. There will be small stints where you will get right people for the right jobs, get the project executed and move on. All of us have to learn to work in this new paradigm. If you are building products, very few, very smart, very few domain experts working with AI and quantum engineers can create wonders, can build products that will survive. Rest order, I'm sorry to say, will die. Product cycles will be a thing of past. You have product and you release next version and the next version and the next version. Today, as we speak, Amazon releases quote unquote next version of their or features in 11.3 seconds. How many of you knew this fact? Few people are aware of it. So I am pushing Kale Logistics. Can we do it in 11 months? And then I'll start pushing for 11 days. And Rian, I'll definitely push for 11 hours. Preparing for future. Only certainty is uncertainty. Embrace it without losing your purpose and values. Hire for excellence in a field. Never hire the generalist. That era is over. The skill I'll hire for is excellence in one field and learnability. And don't worry about any other thing. The organizations will have to be nimble and ability to pivot, because nobody can see what next 5 years could be. Technologies will change, people will change, market will change. Conditions will change that the whims of mercies of people like Trump. So you have to be ready. And I'll give you one example of a nimble organization, right sitting in Pune. They are John Deere Technology Center. Dr. Saha is heading that institution. So he said, the minute this China and Trump issue started and they threatened to switch off this rare earth that China had. Within a week, John Deere came up. They have about 10,000 items, that parts, which parts use this rare earth material and what could be their parallels. He said it would not have been possible if we were not ready with AI and the tech engineers that we had. So real life example, nimble and ability to pivot. For those of you who have co-founders and important colleagues, this is my sincere appeal. Learn to share your authority, power, responsibilities, name, fame, and finally financial gain with your co-founders and colleagues. You'll be glad that you did it. It's a philosophy. I talked about sense of urgency. Let me tell you a quick story about in Mahabharata. So Yudhishthira used to do dana every day in the morning, 9 to 11 o'clock. And one day, 11:01, one Yachak walked in. So the Yudhishthira told him that my time is over, you come tomorrow. So Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, Sadev, they were all standing because Yudhishthira used to sit and they used to stand in mark of respect. So when he said this, Bhim Dada laughed very loudly in disdain. So Yudhishthira noticed, this has never happened in my life. Why is he doing it? So he said, what did I do wrong? No, Dada, तुम्ही काय तुमचं बरोबरच आहे सगळं, तुमचं कधी चुकतं का काही? So he said, no, but you must have sensed something. Tell me. So he says, I am amazed at your confidence. He said, my confidence? What did I do? He said, you assumed 5 things. You will be there tomorrow. He will be there tomorrow. You will have money to give him tomorrow. You will have desire to give tomorrow. And you will have desire to receive tomorrow. These assumptions you are making, I am amazed at your confidence. So minute he just said, wait, come back. He gave him whatever it is. So that is sense of urgency. There is no tomorrow. We have to do everything here and now. Many times you will be attracted towards something amazing somebody else is doing and will like to copy it. I would just like you to stay where your focus is. That is typically known as Gita as Swadharma. It will never do any harm to you. Lastly, 2 books to possibly to recommend for you in this journey. One is the CEO Excellence. And second is Unstressable. These are 2 books that I would hardly recommend in this journey towards excellence. Thank you. It was wonderful talking to you.
Kale sir, thank you so much for such an enlightening conversation and a talk. I'm sure all of you must have really taken home some amazing pearls of wisdom. Can we hear it for him once again, please? Thank you very much. You know, in fact, while I was driving here today, I was listening to some music and I was listening to a beautiful song by an English US singer. She came on American Idol. She grew up from rags to riches. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to take 2 minutes to talk about it, which sums up this session beautifully. The name of the song is called Daydream, and it's by a girl called Lily Miola. Okay, she sang it in 2022, and it was brilliant. I love the lyrics of that song, but there's one part of that song which is the chorus. And I'm going to only read out the chorus, though I can sing, but I'll sing at a later date sometime later. But what it says is, darling, don't quit your daydream. It's the life that you're making. It ain't big enough if it doesn't scare the hell out of you. If it makes you nervous, it is probably worth it. Why save it for sleep when you could be living your daydream? That is the power of what we just heard from Kale sir, and thank you again very, very much. One more thing I took back from today's session is the genesis of an organization. When you start, it's very important to identify your purpose and your why. And there is this beautiful book and an amazing speaker by the name of Simon Sinek. I'm sure everyone's heard of him. You should hear that story. It's a YouTube video and a book called The Golden Circle. And the whole why is explained beautifully out there. So these are the two nuggets I'm going to take back. Well, moving on. We now have another eminent speaker and a gentleman among us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Anand Deshpande, sir, the founder, chairman, and managing director of Persistent Systems Limited, a global digital engineering company he founded in Pune, which has steadily grown into a respectable publicly listed organization. Over the years, he has played a defining role in building Persistent Systems into a scalable institution-led enterprise with a strong global footprint. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, I urge you all to welcome Sir Anand Deshpande on stage to take us through his journey. Thank you very, very much.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Yes. So, first, thank you very much, Anand, for inviting me here, and it's an honor to listen to Narendra ji today. I've never had the opportunity to hear this story before, so it was very exciting, and thank you for doing it, and that was one of my main reasons for coming here. So I told Anand that instead of doing a speech or anything like that, let's do more Q&A. That may be more useful. So he said, why don't you share something and then we'll do the Q&A. So, and what was even more exciting is that we get the opportunity to do Q&A with Narendra ji. So that should be quite exciting. I saw the raise of hands and all of those kinds of things. So I'm going to talk, I was asked to talk about scaling. So I'm going to give you 4 ideas on scaling, which I think are very critical and very important. And this is what I've been telling everyone as part of my second orbit thing that I tell everyone. So if you have heard this before, well, at least I'm consistent. Okay. And persistent, yes. So first, let me, what I have observed in general, and we'll check with Narendra ji as well, but in general, what I find is that growth in companies is a sequence of S-curves. You do not see straight lines. If it were straight lines, you would have seen all companies that have been around for a long time would have been the largest companies in the world. That is not the case. And that is so because, you know, growth in business is a sequence of S-curves. You do some things good, you see growth for a few period, for some period of time, and then it tends to flatten out. And then this transition from one flattened out growth curve to the next one is very tricky. It's hard. It's very difficult, but essential. If you don't make that change, you will not be able to move on. And actually, one of the things that people talk about at this point of inflection is that if you don't make these changes and you don't make the changes that are necessary, you will actually decline and die. Okay. So it's not like you have a whole bunch of options. If you want to create a sustainable business, you have to evolve yourselves and keep shifting orbits. And what works in one orbit actually doesn't work in the next one. So this is equally important. So trying to suggest when people tell you keep doing the same thing, I'm sorry, it doesn't work. You know, we all age, life goes on, lots of things happen. What has worked in one orbit simply refuses to work in the next orbit. I can say this with quite confidence because I've seen lots of companies who have gone through this journey. So this is something that I really believe in, and you will notice this in your business. So even if you're doing really well right now, by doing the same thing forever, you're not going to be able to extrapolate your growth in a straight line. This is the reality of life. and you have to find your next orbit. So how do you go about this next orbit? So I'm going to give you 4 simple ideas that I think are very critical for any growth change to happen. So the first thing is that, let's say you attend this session and you go back to your company and tell everyone that we are going to grow 10 times in the next 3 years. People will say you're crazy. And the reason they'll say that you're crazy is because they don't believe it. So if you want to climb the mountain, you need the team. But before you bring the team together to climb the mountain, you need the mountain. So you have to define this mountain. This is your responsibility or the responsibility of the team to define the mountain. So the first thing that I tell people is you need to define your mountain as a painted picture. And I find that as a nice analogy. People don't relate to just numbers and spreadsheets. So what you have to do is, let's say you're running a company, let's say, I'll just make some number up, say 25 crores. And you want to have an aspiration of getting to 250 crores in the next, say, 3 to 5 years. Okay. So fairly aggressive growth is what your plan is, and you want to grow 10x in the next few years. So you go and tell your team that we are going to do this in the next 3 to 5 years. You have taken 10 years to get to 25. People don't believe that you'll get to 250 in the next 3 years. There's just no way they're going to do it. So what you need to do is, for the team to believe what you want to do, is to do an exercise and imagine what the business at 250 crores looks like. Not how to get there. So this is very important. Because if you try to ask how to get there, people are using assumptions from the first orbit, which do not work in the second orbit. You have to change the assumptions. And these assumptions are ingrained in people's mind. And if you force them to make a difference, to change those assumptions, they just can't make that change. So what is important is to first think about what the 250 looks like. And this is true for anything and everything. So I would say this to Bhavu as well. If Bhavu wants to scale this business, imagine what your 10x looks like first. Let everyone believe and see it, visualize it. If you visualize it, then you can find a way to get to that point. So it's very, very important to have a painted picture of where you are going. Okay, this is very critical. And I think this is important for you and your team as well. This is the key important thing, because your team can't see the chart that you put together. They like the story. Now, another example of this you can see is that if you've seen Amazon, they talk a lot about working backwards. So they first put out a press release of what their business looks like, what the product they're going to sell before they actually make the product. I found this to be highly empowering. We have done this several times in the company. And there are many ways you can do this. So one of the things you can do is, imagine there is you've made a big thing and you're getting interviewed by, let's say, Shireen Bhan on CNBC. So you can sort of mock that using AI and everything else, create a video that says what your business is going to look like after 3 years. So you have to create that possibility of where you are going first. So you have to show the heaven for people to follow you. That's the basic thing. If you look at any of the sannyasis, sadhus, all those who have lots of followers, they do this a lot. Okay, so this is very important. The people will follow the guru, then they have this belief that the guru is going to take you somewhere. So that's what is important. So define that heaven, define that painted picture. That's the key to getting everyone to be aligned. So this is number one. The second thing, I hear a lot of people talk, and Narendra ji also talked about focus, which is very important. And people talk about niche and all that. But I like to position it in a very different way. I believe that all businesses, if you want to succeed at that point, need to be market leaders. Okay? This is very different from just being focused. Okay? You cannot be a market leader in many things without being focused. But just being focused does not make you a market leader. Okay? That's the reason why I say this. You need to be a market leader. Why do you need to be a market leader? You need to be a market leader because when the buyer buys, they buy from a market leader. They don't buy from other people. And the theory behind this, if you want to use a theoretical book, there's a book by Raj Sisodia and Jagdish Sheth called The Power of Three. They talk about that in any market, there are only 3 leaders. They get 70% of the market share. Everyone else gets the remaining 30%. If you're not in the top 70%, then you are fighting for crumbs. That's the reality. When you are a small business and you want to grow at that kind of pace that you want to grow at, unless people are coming to you, you cannot win the game. So people have to come to you. Why would people come to you? Because you are seen as the leader. So this is kind of the key to defining all this stuff. So how do you define that somebody is a leader? So the key is, if you want to be a leader in any market, you need to have 20% market share. That's what I believe in. Because if you have 20% market share, you are by definition one of 5. Ideally, you are within one of 3. So the key is that if you are running a 25 crore business, trying to get to 250 crores. So let's say, you can't see 250 right now, but let's say you see 100 at least. Define a market that's only 500 crores and not 5,000 crores. If you are trying to hunt for a small business, trying to hunt into a 5,000 crore market, you'll get nothing out of it. It's very hard to chase many rabbits. You got to catch one at a time. So the focus has to be that if you're trying to be a 100 crore business, define the market that's 500 crores. How do you do that? That gives you a lot of clarity. It tells you who the players are. And there are many ways to segment your business. And you know what your business is, so you should be able to do that. Your leadership basically defines that you have a right to win. It understands who your customers are. It understands who your buyers are, where they hang out, what they do, and all of that stuff. That clarity of where you are trying to go, because you are going to be a leader in the market, is critical. If you do that, you will definitely succeed. So if you're going to take one thing from me today, this should be the one. Okay. The third thing I tell people is that if you want to get to this point, at this point in the first orbit, typically smaller businesses, it's about you, the founder. Companies are built around the founder. At this point, when you try to scale your business, you have to move from my company to our company. And this has a lot to do with culture. Okay? So trying to build a system and a company that allows you to build this kind of growth needs the culture of the company to be aligned to having being us company, not my company. Okay? So when you are defining this painted picture, it's not my painted picture, it's our painted picture. The focus is our focus, not my focus. Okay, so that's sort of very critical. And when you do this, our company business, the people who are in the company, they are working for the company, not for you. These are, again, I don't want to spend too much time on this today because, I can spend 3 hours talking about this specific problem alone. But I think this is very critical to have this situation where you have clarity about the team. Everyone in the business should believe that it's their company. And this has a lot to do with defining the culture and how do you set the culture up. So again, this is the third thing that I wanted to share with you. And the fourth thing that I want to share, which is the last thing that I wanted to mention, as I said, I'll do 4. The key fourth thing is that, everyone needs governance. So you need to be well governed. You need to follow the right things to do that. I am a big believer that even small businesses, 25, 30 crores, should have boards in there to help them make this happen. Boards put a mirror for the founder, because otherwise what happens is that the founder is the king and he decides what happens. Life doesn't work well like that. If you have a model where everyone has some accountability that is being pushed into this system, then this really helps. So what I find is that the boards are the best way to create accountability. And I do understand that in smaller businesses, you may not have maybe people will not be willing to come or whatever else. So create an advisory board, but run it like a board. So boards, what do? They basically simple things that you should do in a board meeting. One is that you should, of course, define progress of what happened in the last quarter. Typically, I recommend that do board meetings just like public companies do, at least once a quarter. Typically, after you have got your financial results in place, within the first 30 days, 40 days or so of the company, with a consistent plan that every quarter within 30 days, 45 days, you'll have your results. You'll be able to have a board meeting and everyone will be on the same page. So do a data-driven meeting. It should be consistent. Meeting should be set in advance and everyone gets together and basically reviews what happened last quarter and review what's going to happen in the next 2 quarters. So you define your 2-quarter, 4-quarter plan. And then everyone needs to be accountable for what they are doing. Otherwise, this doesn't help. And then, of course, the boards can help with other things as well. But ensuring that progress is happening, performance is being met, accountability is being set up, and the founder itself is accountable to someone to answer questions that are related to the performance of the company is very critical. If you don't get that right, then the founder somehow feels that it's his way, the deck is very badly loaded, and then people don't believe that your plans are real, and then you get all kinds of issues because of that. So having that accountability and delivering what you promise is the key to success. I'll stop here. I thought it's more useful to kind of do Q&A rather than do this. And we also have Narendra ji here, so it'll be wonderful. We also have my friend Kiran here, who always has answers to all the questions. So we can always ask him for an opinion. We also have Anand ji here. So a lot of people here who can answer questions. So instead of me just giving a bhashan, let's just do a Q&A session. That'll be more useful. Give it back to Anand to decide what's the best form. Do you want to have chai now or later or whatever else? It's up to you. Thank you.
So what we'll do is have a quick 5-minute relax break and come back in exactly 5 minutes. We've got a very interesting session. We had both of the speakers coming in and telling us their individual stories. Now we have a Jugalbandi coming up with both of them on stage, and it's going to be really exciting. So you can't miss that. Please go back and come back soon. Thank you.